Have you ever noticed that most of your suffering isn't caused by what's happening, but by what you're thinking? We often believe we're struggling with our current circumstances, but in reality, we're drowning in a relentless stream of anxiety, regret, fear, and self-made worst-case scenarios. We keep chasing an illusory peace in the future, only to realize that day never comes. The truth that Buddhism so beautifully reveals is this: peace isn't a destination waiting for you at the finish line. It's what's waiting for you to stop running. The moment you cease worrying is the moment your life stops passing you by. You begin to feel the air again, to hear the beat of your own heart, and to truly live, because real life doesn't begin when everything is perfect. Real life begins the moment you finally let go of the need to control it. 1. The present is the only place where life exists. When we worry, our minds automatically activate the time machine mode. It pulls us back to the past to agonize over what we should have done differently. Or it pushes us into the future to predict everything that could go wrong. But let's face the harsh truth: the future hasn't happened yet. And the past is already gone. Neither can be touched or changed. The only thing we truly possess is the present moment. This very breath, this very heartbeat, just one single moment where life is quietly unfolding. It's like sitting by a peaceful river. The water flows gently, birds sing, and trees sway in the breeze. But you're glued to your phone, rereading old messages or worrying about tomorrow's plans. The river still flows, the wind still whispers, and the world continues to breathe around you. Yet you are not truly there. This is what worry does. It disconnects you from the beauty, simplicity, and peace that already surrounds you. But here's the good news: the moment you realize this, you can return, come back to the present, not with force, but with awareness, simply by noticing your breath, the weight of your body, and the sounds around you. You reconnect with what is real. You don't need to solve every problem or erase every regret to feel calm. You just need to come home to this moment. Because in this moment, your fears are dormant, your regrets are silent, and nothing is required of you but to be present. 2. Worry is an attempt to control the uncontrollable. At its core, worry is the mind's desperate attempt to feel in control. When something in life feels uncertain, our minds panic and try to predict every possible outcome. It tells us, if I worry enough, maybe I can prevent something bad from happening. And from this impulse, worry is born, not from a real danger, but from the need for control in a constantly changing world. However, the truth is that most of life is beyond our control. You cannot predict how people will behave, what tomorrow will bring, or how every situation will unfold. The painful irony is this: while we believe worry keeps us safe, it actually traps us in a cycle of fear and stress without giving us any real control. Buddhism teaches that freedom doesn't come from trying to force the river to flow your way, but from learning to float with it. When you accept that things will happen as they are meant to, that you can only influence your actions and not control the universe, you begin to let go of the mental tension that worry creates. You stop living in a world of imagined fears and return to the truth of what is. Imagine you have an important decision coming up. Your mind is flooded with anxiety. What if I fail? What if I make the wrong choice? These thoughts may feel productive, but they solve nothing. They only drain your energy. Now, imagine instead you take a deep breath. Make the wisest decision you can in this moment, and then let go. That is not weakness. That is power. That is wisdom. 3. Everything you fear is temporary by nature. One of the most liberating truths in Buddhist wisdom is this: nothing lasts forever. Every emotion, every thought, every fear, every moment of pain, it all arises, stays for a while, and then eventually fades away. But when we are in the grip of worry or fear, it doesn't feel that way. The anxiety seems endless. The problem feels too big to carry. That is the illusion the mind creates, telling you this situation is here to stay. However, the truth is that everything you are worried about is already in the process of changing. Just look back at your life. Think about the things that once kept you up at night, the heartbreaks that shattered you, the decisions that filled you with doubt. Where are they now? Some have healed, some have faded, and some have become stories you barely remember. Just like them, the thing you are worrying about today will pass. 2. We often make the mistake of treating temporary discomfort as if it were permanent pain. We let a passing emotion define our entire future. The rain does not last forever. The night always turns into dawn. Even the strongest storm must eventually return to stillness. And so must your heart. Worry loses its grip when you begin to see it for what it truly is, not a permanent prison, but a passing visitor. It comes, it stays for a while, and it goes. You don't have to fight it. You simply breathe, observe, and wait, like a wise monk watching the wind pass through the trees. You remain rooted in stillness. 4. The more you resist worry, the stronger it becomes. There's a subtle truth about our own suffering that most people never realize. What you resist, you unintentionally make stronger. The more you try to fight, fix, or suppress your feelings, the more power you give them over your life. And nowhere is this more true than with worry. When you say, "I shouldn't feel anxious," or "I need to stop worrying right now," you're not calming your mind, you're turning your inner world into a battlefield. In Buddhism, true peace can never grow in the soil of resistance. The mind is like water. When undisturbed, it becomes still and clear. But when you agitate it with resistance, judgment, and self-criticism, it becomes cloudy and chaotic. Instead of fighting the fear, observe it. Instead of rejecting the worry, gently sit with it. Imagine you are watching a storm outside your window. You don't scream at the clouds. You don't tell the thunder to stop. You simply watch. You let it pass. You know that eventually, the storm will exhaust itself and move on. This is how we are meant to relate to the storms inside us. In Buddhist meditation, we practice mindful awareness, the art of watching your thoughts and feelings without clinging to them or pushing them away. When you do this, a remarkable thing happens. The thought loses its intensity. The feeling begins to loosen its grip. You realize that your worry was never as permanent or as powerful as it once seemed. Worry is often not a monster to be destroyed, but a message waiting to be heard. 5. Attachment is the real source of worry. When you look deeply at the root of your constant worry, you will often find one quiet but powerful force driving it all: attachment. In Buddhist teaching, attachment is not about love or care. It is the clinging, the mental and emotional grip we place on people, outcomes, possessions, or identities that we believe we must have in order to be okay. It is the belief that I can only be happy if things go exactly the way I imagined. You worry because you're attached to an outcome. I need this job to work out, or I'll fall apart. You worry because you're attached to a person. What if they leave me? You worry because you're attached to a version of yourself. What if I fail and no one respects me anymore? Life is not a predictable machine. It's a living river, always moving and shifting. And when you cling to the rocks in that river, demanding things stay the same, you suffer. Buddhism doesn't teach us to stop loving life. It teaches us to hold it with open hands. Imagine holding a butterfly. If you squeeze it too tightly, you harm it. If you hold it too loosely, it may fly away. But if you let it rest gently on your hand, you can enjoy its beauty without trying to possess it. Letting go of attachment doesn't mean giving up. It means shifting your identity. You move from being someone who needs specific conditions to be okay, to someone who is okay regardless of the conditions. 6. Peace is a practice, not a product of perfect circumstances. One of the most common and misleading beliefs we hold is this: I'll feel peaceful once everything in my life is under control. We chase the idea that peace will arrive when our problems disappear. But this is an illusion. Because the world never stops moving. Life never stops changing. And if you wait for the storm to stop before you learn how to be still, you'll spend your entire life waiting. In Buddhism, peace is not treated as something you find after life becomes quiet. It is treated as a discipline, a daily inner practice, something you cultivate in the middle of chaos, uncertainty, and pain. It's not a reward you receive when life is easy. It's a skill you develop when life is not. You have to learn to come back to your breath when your mind is racing with anxiety. You have to learn to accept rather than resist when things don't go as expected. You have to learn to be kind to your own heart, even in the middle of fear. This isn't about perfection, it's about presence. 7. You are not your worries. You are the one who observes them. Perhaps the most profound realization in Buddhist teaching is this: you are not your thoughts, your fears, or your worries. You are the awareness that sees them. This simple yet powerful insight has the potential to transform your entire relationship with your mind. Because the moment you realize you are not the voice in your head, but the presence that hears it, you reclaim the inner freedom you were always meant to have. The mind is not your enemy, but it is not you. It's a tool, a storyteller, a survival mechanism, and like a radio broadcasting different stations. It constantly sends out thoughts. But here's the key. You are not the broadcast. You are the one who listens. When worry shows up, you don't need to argue with it. You don't have to solve it. You simply observe it. You say, "Oh, there's worry again." And just like that, you're back in awareness. That space between the thought arising and your reaction to it is where your freedom exists. When a wave of fear hits you, it's easy to forget that you are not the wave. You are the ocean. But with practice, through mindfulness and gentle awareness, you start to remember. And the more you remember, the less power worry has over you. So, the next time your mind starts spinning with worry, take a breath, place your hand gently on your heart, and say to yourself with kindness, "This is only a thought. I am the one who observes. I am not my fear." And notice what happens. Feel the space that opens up inside you. That space is your true self. And in that moment of remembering, life starts fresh. You see, worry isn't something life forces on you. It's something the mind creates in its attempt to feel safe and in control. But the truth is, control is just an illusion. Real life, the kind that is peaceful and full of presence, doesn't begin when everything is solved. It begins when you stop trying to solve everything. This is the path, this is the practice, and this is where true life finally begins.